Alright, hello to my other video. Hopefully these aren't too consistent, but yeah, this time we're going to be talking about recoil. I'm going to try and keep it short because I know my last video was around 20 minutes. So we're going to be comparing recoil between weapon choices, you know, different weapon sets, for example, like SMGs, assault rifles, like machine guns, sniper rifles, yada yada. I'm going to be talking about like what changes should be made, since I know one of the developers is asking me for some of the feedback, considering I've been playing this game for a decent bit now. Alright, so first things first, I want to start off by saying pistols are in an extremely solid spot, and I feel like they are very well made, considering, you know, they've got some pretty good vertical recoil, like that's without me controlling anything, and while aiming in, you know, it's got nice horizontal recoil, vertical recoil, especially the Desert Eagle, you know, like that's without me touching my mouse. You see it hop from left to right very well. It makes it kind of difficult to hit, you know, like stationary, or not stationary, but like repeatedly hit the same target over and over. You see, like, it just hops all over the place, and I like that. I feel a Desert Eagle should definitely be this way, you know. Whenever you shoot a Desert Eagle in real life, you're not gonna be, you know, accurately spamming the same target over and over. Obviously there's some kick, you're gonna have to readjust, it's vertical, it's horizontal, it fucking hurts your wrist, you know, all that good shit. So you better do the same thing in the game, okay. But it's in a very good spot. Pistols, fucking beautiful. Keep them how they are. The only one that's, you know, pretty easy to control is the Glock. But it makes sense, it's a 9mm. It's meant to be spammable, it doesn't have too many bullets, or I mean too many, it doesn't deal too much damage is what I was trying to say. But now we're getting to the part where the issues begin. So we've got, you know, very popular weapon choices here. We got the MPX and the M416. Arguably the most popular weapon choice. Most popular SMG and most popular M416. Now MP5 is a close, very close, you know, pick too. Like a lot of people pick the MP5 or the MPX. I'm personally gonna be doing the MPX as an example, considering, you know, it's probably best to do the MP5. We'll do both, but I've been using the MPX for a lot longer. It's my SMG of choice, weapon of choice. It's what I always rock. I love this weapon, and even as a MPX fanatic, I could admit that yes, it does need some changes. It needs some few nerfs. So let's talk about no attachments. So no attachments, which you're almost rarely never gonna have. You know, you're usually gonna have at least, you know, this much by round 2. You know, like these 4 slots, you're usually always gonna have by round 2. So it makes it, you know, makes it a lot more doable. But you see, I'm holding down a push to talk button on my mouse right now, which is making my thumb like sit in a very uncomfortable position. So me being able to control the recoil this efficiently when I'm in an uncomfortable situation is a little bit of an issue. Now it is a 9mm shot that I'm shooting, so considering it's not a high caliber, it shouldn't be that difficult, right? But even in M416, like in an uncomfortable position for my shots to be that decently accurate is pretty scary. Here, let's try some more ammo. And that's without full attachments. That's just like with what you'd have at round 2, right? Now let's do it without attachments. You know, let's take all these off. Even then, it's a very manageable recoil. You do see it hop from left to right and yada yada, obviously because I have no attachments. But when you're fully, you know, when you fully just deck this thing out, right? I'm just throwing on random attachments, not like what's best for recoil. Actually, yeah, whatever. So I'm assuming I picked some pretty decent like recoil. Yeah, that's a laser, man. I don't even gotta pull down. Like, okay, I'm gonna just shoot straight. This is without me touching the mouse whatsoever, just shooting. So you see how it's just a straight up line, right? Like it hardly kicks left to right and stuff like that. Like how easy this is to control right now is a little disgusting. Like even at long ranges, if I were to strap a 4 times on this thing, like it barely kicks. Like, I definitely feel like it should be higher, it should be more punishing. The ability to laser someone across the map is a big issue, I feel like. And you can make some arguments about bullet travel, you know, like, oh yeah, bullet travel makes it a lot more difficult for you to hit those shots. Trust me, whenever you start playing this game a lot, bullet travel is like hardly means anything to you. Like, I could very easily keep the same spray while aiming in front of someone and moving a little bit to the left. Like, let's say someone's running across this hill, like, you just go like this. Like, it is not difficult, anyone could do it. It's not fun, if I'm being completely real. It just shouldn't be this way. I feel like it should be more like Counter-Strike, or more like Valorant, more like Rust, in a way that, you know, it rewards the player for memorizing a spray pattern. And some of you could say, oh yeah, but like, you know, that's just a learning curve. Once you get the spray pattern down, like, it's just the same thing. Yeah, but also it allows the player to feel like the rewards of this action, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it any other way. It's just the people that put the time in to learn it correctly should be rewarded for it. That's the way I see it. That's the way a lot of the people see it. If you take your time to memorize the spray patterns and get good with them, learn to control them, obviously you should be winning a lot more fights from range and stuff like that, you know? Because you put the time in, you put the training in. That's exactly what I feel this game is searching for when it comes to stuff like this, because it's an esports game. You know, I mentioned this in my previous video. They put a lot of thought and effort into making this a very esports friendly game. They had a lot of visions as to how this game will shine in the esports scene when it comes to just general gameplay and stuff like that. And I feel like in an esports setting, something like that would go beautifully, because obviously the people that practice harder are going to shine a lot better than the people that just, you know, picked up the game for the first time. And yes, it's a learning curve, but it's a learning curve that I'm sure a lot of people won't be too upset about. Like, look how many players Valorant has, look how many players Rust has, look how many players Counter-Strike has. Like, my point across, it's people don't care for spray patterns that much. It's something that's been implemented for almost every game we know, and it's something that I feel like definitely needs to be upped in this game, because controlling these weapons that deal very high damage, that M416 hurts a lot. Like, I'm not sure how much damage it does specifically. Like, let's see. 48 damage. Yeah. So you're telling me it's gonna take like 5-ish shots to down someone, depending on their armor levels. So it's like, let's say 6 to 8 shots in order to down someone, and for a weapon that shoots this fast and this accurately from a range I don't think it's okay. Now, onto the MPX. It's kind of funny how I found someone that I used this against in a game in the Discord, and they were like, hey, I remember you, I was the one that was like, what the fuck, how'd you spray me from that far with the SMG? We were in Shipyard, and I sprayed them from very, very far away, basically their spawn, while I was still nearing the right side of my spawn. I've been accused many times of cheating for this. I've been called a hacker more times than I can imagine, just because of the amount of times I do this to people. It's an SMG. At range, it shouldn't be doing that much. Here, let me change sights. This is what I'm used to. I usually always run the thermal, but we'll just run the 4 times because it's the same thing, but without the thermal. But from a range, you'd be amazed how much damage this does. And like, you see how I'm controlling the recoil, and my hand is still in an uncomfortable position. Every time that I'm talking, I'm holding that button. Like, my thumb is just in a position I would never have it in, and it's you know, it's making spray control a lot harder. And even then, I'm controlling it super accurately. People would be amazed how fast an MP5 could shred you from this range right here. An MP5 could easily down you within like 10 shots, or something like that. I don't know the exact math, I just know I always decimate people from ranges with this MP5, or MPX, my bad, not MP5. And considering the MPX isn't even the highest damaging SMG, you know, like, pretty sure the MP5 does, oh, it does about the same, okay. Wow, okay. Maybe the MPX is the highest damaging SMG. Wow, crazy. Okay, but yeah, regardless, that even adds more to the point. If it's the highest damaging SMG, it should not be doing this much damage while being this accurate from a range, while, you know, just in general, it's just so easy to control. Like, look at this. Now, without me pulling down, this is what it looks like. Like, it's just a straight lineup. Like, it's not difficult. I'm pretty sure I could go get a fucking newborn and he could do this. Like, it's just pulling the mouse down. It's that simple. I definitely feel like spray pattern should be changed. In comparisons to other popular shooter games, we're gonna be using Warzone as an example here. You've seen all the issues with that game when it comes to long range M4A1 sprays and just assault rifle sprays that you can easily laser someone across the map and without even like sweating a tad bit, you know? Like, there's almost no recoil in that game if you're running the right attachments, and that seems to be the same issue that we're having in this game. The spray is just way too easy, it hardly moves, and you can easily shred someone from a distance. I'll be leaving the name. Actually, no, I won't. But if you want to ask me for the name of the person that this happened to in one of my public matches that I went up against, I lasered them from across the map, and they were also like, "What the hell? How'd you do that?" Feel free to ask me on Discord. I'll happily provide the name. I'm sure he'll happily chat with you about like his end of the perspective as to like how it felt and stuff like that. Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't feel very good when you get lasered from an MPX from that far. It's an SMG. It shouldn't be doing this. Now for other weapons, when it comes to like the AK, for example, this is a very popular pick when it comes to, you know, the weapon variety is actually good, yada yada, you know, the recoil is actually good. This weapon has it very good, you know, it's got a lot of horizontal kick. Yeah, it moves left and right a lot, like this without me moving it. You see it going to the top right a lot. Yeah, this is a very solid pick, but the reason why it's the least picked assault rifle as well is because of this very reason. The recoil is just too... I'm not sure what word I'm looking for here, but too real, essentially. It's more difficult to control. A lot of people don't bother with this weapon simply because it just has so much recoil, and like you could buy horizontal recoil like negators, I guess. So let's just deck this thing out for recoil control, horizontal recoil especially, and now like you see it's still, without me moving it, it still goes up a lot. And so that is a lot more difficult to control than an M416, here let's buy the M416, which is the most popular assault rifle pick by far. Let's deck this out for, let's deck it out the same way we would AK, just to prove a point here. So that's basically the same attachments, we'll take this off. Basically the same attachments as the AK, right? Now it's an AK-47, you're shooting a different round, it's doing a lot more damage. Obviously the AK would be a lot more difficult to control. However, when you match the stats, okay, so the M416 does 48 damage, the AK does 71. Now you're thinking, holy fuck, 71? That's fucking crazy, right? When you think about how much more difficult it is to down someone with an AK-47 than it is with an M416, you'd almost always choose the M416 over the AK-47, and I mean the numbers show it. Almost nobody picks the AK-47. Very rarely, I played a lot of matches in this game, very rarely have I ever seen people rock the AK-47. I always see the M416. It's because the M416 at a range is just so much more accurate. Like, that's just without full attachments. Like, I'm missing a stock here that improves recoil handling. Compared to this, like, that, it's a no-brainer. You'd always go with the M416. This weapon takes a lot more work, meaning it takes a lot more skill in order to wield, you know, correctly, in order to wield it in a very meaningful way. I'm sorry if you hear my dog in the back, he's a flappy doggo. But, you almost never see people running the AK because of that reason. Yes, it does more damage. Yes, I think it has the same fire rate, right? RPM 600, RPM 720. Okay, so the M416, I'm pretty sure just has a higher time to kill solely for that reason. By the time you spray 3 people with 4 bullets in the head, or 3, I'm pretty sure is what it takes with the M416, you'd barely be getting out like 5 rounds with the AK-47. It's just, the trade-off is just too much. It doesn't make any sense. Stuff like the G36, the AUG, and the Scar H suffer the same reason, or the same point. The M416 is just always superior. Same goes for the ASVAL. Just, if you look at the numbers, M416 is very, very on top of, you know, the M4 or the AR buy range. I'd say Scar H is a close second, and then AUG, G36, AS, and AK. I say AK is at the bottom, like 24/7. I wouldn't see people running that assault rifle compared to this one. But yeah, goddamn, I said I was gonna keep it short. We're already 15 minutes into recording. But that aside, I feel like the sprays for assault rifles should definitely be increased when it comes to recoil. Same goes for SMGs. The pistols are perfect. I cannot stress this enough. The pistols feel like what every weapon should feel like, especially the Deagle. The Deagle, I feel, is a very healthy vision as to how every weapon should be behaving. It feels too perfect. Like, shooting a target accurately from range is very nice. Very nice. You know, seeing someone running this way, like, it's not a very easy shot for you to just hit a running target if they're running up this hill. Like, hitting them accurate, you see how much it kicks from left to right, how high it hits. It's very good, very good. The Wix is also very good for this, like hitting a target from that far. It's a little easier, obviously, because you're not shooting that high of a round and it doesn't do that much damage, but still, I feel like the pistols are a solid example as to how every other weapon should behave. Obviously, it's a little more convoluted than that. It's not as simple as copy-paste or mechanics, but what I'm saying is something like that behaves like the pistols amongst the other weapons would be very beautiful. Now, so for the M249, I haven't played with this weapon much, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it also in the numbers that a lot of people do not pick this weapon. The recoil is also very easy. You know, it's mainly horizontal recoil that you're dealing with, less than vertical. So you could just deck this thing out for horizontal, you know, with the other grip, and right there it's might as well be a line, right? As to why a lot of people don't pick this weapon, I can't really tell you. It's honestly very solid. I think the main issue is just the damage, I suppose. Yeah, I'd say the damage. It just doesn't make sense as to why you'd run an M249 over an M416. As for the shotguns, they're very solid. I agree with their recoils, especially this one. This one feels very good. The sniper rifles are very beautiful. They've got a very fair amount of recoil, especially when you're running, you know, far sights. Maybe it does need to be upped a bit. Just like whenever I shoot, I think my crosshair should be like all the way up here, just to show like the power behind the shot. Like, this is me mimicking like what I feel like should be like. So like if I were to not move at all, it'd just be like this, right? I feel like whenever I shoot, my view should be up here instead of like right back where it was, you know? But yeah, I feel like the sniper rifles are done well. The bow, I mean, it goes without saying, it's just a bow. It doesn't really have recoil, it's more for information gathering. It's got travel time, it's actually very good killing potential. The bow, I feel like it's in a very solid spot. Aside from the argument that it gives a lot of information too easily, I do agree with that. It's a little strong in that regard. I feel like maybe it should be like one scan arrow every, I don't know, like 10 seconds, something like that, I don't know. I do feel like it needs some balancing. But to cut this video now, because it's getting late, yeah, those are my thoughts on the recoil. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something. I don't want this game to turn into a Warzone copy when it comes to just like, you know, how easy it is to control recoil even without attachments. Like this zero attachment MP5 is just a little ridiculous, especially at range. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something. If you need like a little resume as to what other games I've played and how many hours I've sunk into those games, I play a lot of shooters. My word is very trustworthy when it comes to those type of things. So yeah, I definitely feel like it should be upped and more difficult. But that is it, boys. Thanks for watching and all that good shit. Bye.